Well, let's wrap this show up. We'll get out of here on our closing segment each week. We do a scouting report, which is a Fat Jock style deep dive into an athlete of interest. This week, Bruce, who do we have?
We have Josh Hamilton of
Ooh.
baseball and drug use fame.
Yeah, dude.
How familiar are you with Josh Hamilton? I feel like I've talked to you a lot about Josh Hamilton because I truly do love the guy.
I feel like you've told me a lot about Josh Hamilton, because one thing you've done to me is that I think you've only read 2 books in your life. I think you read a Josh Hamilton book, and I think you've read a book on Charlie Manson, because
those are my guys.
You have told me everything there is to know about Charlie Manson and Josh Hamilton. And I got to tell you, there's some crossover. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, no, there really is. Josh Hamilton's book, I can't recommend enough, even if you don't like baseball, because it's a fucking real, like, it's just wild. And he does the audiobook, and there's this part in the audiobook that's about, it probably happens about 10 times, where he's like, and there I was, spun out on crack on the trailer of a floor of a trailer. And I knew right then I was a long way from being Josh Hamilton, the baseball player. And he always says, I knew right then I was a long way from being Josh Hamilton, the baseball player. And it's great.
I just wonder, quick, how many times his editor had to come up with like a thesaurus version of spun out? There I was, dicked up on crack.
Dicked up on dick down. And I knew right then. Now, Josh Hamilton, just off the top of the thing, size 19 shoe.
Well, you know what that means.
He's packing it, buddy. He's probably all shriveled up from years of crack use. $4 million out of high school on his contract. In his scouting report from all the MLB scouts, this is damn near impossible. I couldn't find a list of people who have got this, but people say on scouting reports in high school, your rank, what they give you out of 80 points, it's almost impossible to get an 80. I couldn't find people who have gotten an 80 before, but Josh Hamilton, by pretty much all accounts, was an 80 out of 80 prospect.
Jesus Christ.
People were saying he was the best prospect since A-Rod, and they don't even know since then. Got to the minor leagues, failed 5 drug tests, 2 full season suspensions, and was banned from the MLB. Went from, what's up?
Banned, not, but how long was that ban?
It was a indefinite ban, Josh Gordon style, and then he was reinstated by Bud Selig.
Nice.
5 failed drug tests. That's a lot. Went from sleeping on an air mattress in a batting cage in Florida, where a guy let him work in exchange for letting him use the facilities, to playing in the MLB in 6 months whenever he was on drugs.
So wait, I'm confused. So he had already made a ton of money, blown the money, and ended up on an air mattress in a batting cage?
Oh, he ended up a lot of other places. And that batting cage, that's after he's already got clean off of crack.
We should do a live episode from that batting cage.
Yeah. And then he's the 2010 AL MVP. So Josh Hamilton was the first overall pick out of high school. In his book, he talks about how he would get stopped. His book is great. I can't say enough good shit about it. In his book, he talks about how he would get stopped to sign autographs between classes, and how one of his teachers asked him to sign a dozen baseballs in exchange for not having to do any of the assigned work in that class.
I would have said, no, let me learn.
He threw 97 as a pitcher, would have gone first round, but he wanted to hit and play defense. His high school coach, when scouts would come when he was pitching, said you should take some off that fastball if you don't want to get drafted as a pitcher.
He was throwing 97.
Yeah. Scouts were calling him one of the best prospects they've ever seen. It's like definitely the best they've seen since A-Rod. He won the minor league player of the year in 2000. He hit a 549-foot home run in Bakersfield in 2002. I've gone out and seen where that home run landed, and it is truly unbelievable. So when he was drafted, his parents were he's kind of a Todd Marinovich. Mm-hmm. Not really with the dad beating him and all that stuff, but he's very similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
So when he was drafted, his parents retired and followed his minor league team around in an RV, and he stayed with them. And that kind of bothered everybody, kind of like this mama's boy thing. And then his parents and him got hit by a drunk driver, and his parents were a little bit more injured than him. So they went back to Raleigh, North Carolina to like rehab. And he was alone for the first time, ever. And what he says is he was alone, not only from his parents, but also he couldn't play baseball. And that was just like overwhelming for him.
Plus, I would imagine, as you would know, for working for a minor league baseball team when you did, The top prospects must be kind of lonely in the minor leagues.
Yes, the top prospects, unless you're really cool, you're seen as kind of an asshole. Because I mean, Yasiel Puig was down there whenever I was working for that team, and there was guys on his team who were kind of grinding to eat, and he's getting checks for 190K every 2 weeks.
Exactly.
So in his book, so while he's playing for the Bakersfield Blaze, starts hanging out at a tattoo shop. Got 26 tattoos in like a month.
Are any of them good?
No, they're all tweaker tattoos. This is before he even started really doing shit.
I'm gonna see if I can pull up a picture of his tattoos. Keep going.
You can. They're awful. He started hanging out with those guys outside of the shop, and the first night that he went out with him, he had his first drink of alcohol in his life, and also snorted coke for the first time.
That's kind of similar to me.
Really?
Yeah, I did. That was the first drug I ever did too.
It was coke, but was it the same night of you first drinking for the first time ever?
Pretty close, because I was a sober kid, a straight edge kid. I only started doing stuff to fail a drug test to try to get out of something.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So he started hanging out at the tattoo shop. Then he went out with those guys, snorted coke for the first time. In his book, he talks about it becoming addicted to coke, and then eventually meth, and then eventually crack. And this is all while playing minor league baseball in Bakersfield. He talks in his book also about being in center field in Bakersfield, feeling like he's about to have a heart attack and his heart's going to bounce out of his chest because he's high on crack. And he's just freaking out because he's paranoid that someone's going to find the meth in his locker.
Wow.
So he went to a sports psychologist in 2002 with the Rays because he was kind of just like not like, he had a bit injury and it was really bothering him beyond that. And he just wasn't looking the same. And then the Rays sent him to the Betty Ford Clinic in 2002. That lasted 8 days. He went away for a little bit, was reinstated, would fail a drug test, be reinstated, would fail a test, be suspended, just over and over and over again. And he even has said in interviews that he would do that on purpose because he just couldn't handle the pressure. And in 2004, he was banned from baseball. And as cliche as it sounds, he was working as a ditch digger.
So for what? Why do they dig ditches?
I don't, just like
construction. For pipes? Yeah.
Yeah, just like legit. That's what he describes as just a ditch digger. He cites in his book a specific summer day in 2005 at his lowest moment. And also, I should mention, I mean, people like Carl Crawford who played with him were like, Josh, you're the best ball player I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, just he would come back from these heroin, crack, meth binges and get clean for like 3 weeks at the most, and would go out and be hitting the ball 460 feet off a tee.
Jesus Christ.
Like, it's just unmatched how good he was. People think, like, I mean, I'll get into that too. Hamilton cites a day in summer 2005 at his lowest moment. He awoke from a crack binge in a trailer surrounded by a half dozen unfamiliar stoned faces. He had loaned his truck to a dealer to get more crack. The truck never came back. He took off on foot, found a payphone, and called his estranged wife, and she came and picked him up. So same year in 2005, he got signed by the Cubs in the Rule 5 draft and was traded to the Reds, where he played a season. I think he hit like 292 in like 80 games or something like that. And then he was traded to the Rangers, where he won the MVP in 2010, where he went to the World Series twice with the Rangers. I mean, just all kinds of shit.
Was he on drugs there and then?
No, he was totally clean. He's had a few slip ups here and there, like drinking and stuff, but not.
But basically, that was his rock bottom, being in that trailer.
In 2005, yeah. And then, I mean, 2010, 5 years later, he won MVP, and they went to the 2 World Series in a row.
Who do you call when you're at rock bottom and you got to make that? You're barefoot, you got a quarter, there's a payphone.
Who do I call? You.
I'm like,
what do I do? I know you've been here.
I'm like, put Timmy on the phone. I know the guy who owns the trailer.
Hey, Timmy, leave my brother alone.
You know he's sensitive.
Yeah. He's eventually traded to the Angels, where he signed a 5-year, $125 million contract in, I can't remember what year that was. I don't have it off the top of my head. And a lot of people say he would have been one of the best players of all time without drugs. He'll probably still make it into the, I don't know if he won't. It into the Hall of Fame.
He absolutely
the sample size isn't big enough.
Yeah. No, he's got more piss samples than he does season samples.
Yeah, but I mean, without drugs, he missed like 8 or 9 years of his career. But you know what's crazy is this kind of brings me back to what we were talking about last week with the Rays stuff, is he was supposed to be the Rays' first big star. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They took him first overall because they were an expansion team.
Right.
And he was supposed to be the best prospect in the last 25 years.
He's that old? I didn't realize the dates here. So
yeah,
when he played for the Bakersfield Blaze, were you going to watch those games?
probably. Yeah. That's in 2002. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So
You
I
don't
probably
remember?
saw him. No, of course not. I wasn't like, Daddy, that man's on crack. I definitely wouldn't have noticed that. My dad's
Daddy.
like, sure is.
Yeah,
Sure
Daddy.
is. But he's sitting at 549 smoking a fucking some broken windows. In the
You're like, why is that guy acting like most of my uncles?
yeah. Why is he climbing the light poles, Daddy? Yeah. He fucking hits a ball into the gap and he's just like meep meep just around the bases like the fucking road runner.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's like a modern day Ted Williams. You know, Ted Williams lost 2, 3, 4 years of his career.
War, yeah.
Yeah, same thing. Crack, World War II, Korea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was given the harshest punishment since Darryl Strawberry.
Damn, Darryl Strawberry. Those stories, I'd love to get Darryl Strawberry on the podcast.
Oh, of course. It's incredible.
Because Josh Hamilton's hanging out with rednecks. Like Darryl Strawberry's partying with like Charlie Murphy and like mafiosos and
yeah. And now Josh Hamilton's a Christian, so boring.